Just over a year ago, I shot my first documentary as a cinematographer. A documentary that taught me so much about filmmaking that I just had to tell you guys about it and show how we made it.
I remember sitting in the doctor's office when I was first told that I had cancer, and my first words were, "Will I die?" And my second words, which surprises everybody, but it was, "Will I lose my hair?"
That film is Hair, an intimate documentary exploring the emotional and social impact of hair loss on women and children, whether through cancer treatment or alopecia, and asking the question, is hair everything? This was a really special project to work on. It was extremely low budget, it was covering sensitive topics, and it features so much passion and weight behind it. And after a long wait, Hair is finally available to watch on the Unbidden Pictures YouTube channel. Completely free of charge, by the way. So, to celebrate, I sat down with the film's writer and director to talk about how we got it made. So hello everybody, this is Iffy and your belly. That's not even your name, I can't say your name anymore.
It's fine.
Iffy and your?
Yeah, or Iffy.
Iffy.
For the people who can't say my name.
This is Iffy.
Why don't you start, I don't know if that was an official thing.
I don't know either.
By the way, you'll see. But like start like that, like how you have mentioned hair before and how you were a DOP on it, and not only that. And kind of get it from there.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Crisis Chris. Today I am joined by the director of Hair, a beautiful documentary that I did the DOP work on.
Hi, I'm Iffy.
This is Iffy and your belly. Director Iffy. I've worked with Iffy quite a bit over the years. We did a music video together. We did, well, we're working on a short film, cow film. It'll come out one day, don't worry guys. And I had a great experience working with Iffy. So when Iffy one day was talking to me about her own ideas for a documentary, I was already on board because I already believed in Iffy. I do think it's fun how you introduced this idea to me though. Because one day we were just hanging out somewhere and then you were just like, well, I've got an idea for a documentary.
Yeah, but I think I never told anyone from the beginning like what it was. Like it was something that I had in my mind for so long, and I generally didn't think it could ever happen. So yeah, Hair was kind of like, the inspiration of Hair was actually like kind of a compilation of a lot of different things, and it all started from some like personal experiences and insecurities about the concept of hair, kind of an inner question, is hair everything? Which is kind of like now the main question and motto of this film. So I was very, very lucky, like kind of like started doing research that I came across a TikTok video by Nicola Wood, who is a hair loss expert, hairdresser, who is also a cancer patient. So while she was going through her own experience, she met a lot of women who have lost their hair because of cancer treatments or like other conditions like alopecia. And she kind of became an advocate first to help them through this journey, but also she also made a whole business of making wigs for these people to have like good quality. So yeah, I was so lucky because I came across that TikTok video and I was actually in the UK at the time. I'm from Greece, by the way. I mean, we didn't mention that because of my name.
What?
So yeah, I was UK at the time. And when I heard her voice, I was like, she sounds British, but I wasn't sure. Looked her up and just saw that she lives like 15, 20 minutes walking away from me. No, actually, the salon is 20 minutes away from where I used to live. So I was like, this is amazing. Immediately emailed her and she was very nice about it, offered to help. And basically, if it wasn't for her, this thing wouldn't have existed because she introduced us to so many people and their stories. And yeah, to end with that, the whole thing, like this big idea, at the end it was narrowed down to hair loss and the stories and experiences of people who have faced hair loss. So yeah, that was how it all started. Like it was this idea, and then just found the perfect person to kind of make it happen.
It's as if the whole world had just stopped.
Just before she was 4, we found out she had alopecia.
Within 6 months, Nancy had gone from a full head of hair to nothing.
I remember just one day I just took the brush through my hair and it just started coming out, and it was just literally wouldn't stop.
It felt a bit scary at first, but then I started getting used to it.
So yeah, this was your directorial debut with Hair, the documentary. But you had actually done little documentaries here and there, just like little tester things in the past in your home place of Greece. So yeah, how was it like making Hair as a newbie director, like a brand new director?
I was very insecure going into directing because I've only done a little bit of producing while I was in the UK, and it was very challenging for me because I feel like I can interview people, and I was okay with that. I was like, yes, I know I can do this part, but how do I do this for film, like to actually work out as a story? I think it helped a lot that it was this specific project, first of all, because as I said, I'm very like personally attached to it, and I think for the first time to do that, that was a really safe choice. Because what I want to do, why I want to do documentaries, basically, I love being a journalist. I like researching and talking with people and getting this information out and kind of like showing someone's truth. That's what I love. But I like doing it in a creative way and not just through a newspaper article or like an online interview. I was very scared, especially when it comes to the visual part, since I don't have experience with that at all. And I think Chris had this... He had, first of all, the empathy, again, for this topic, because I think that's very important to have. When you do documentary, especially when it's about people that you meet and they have been in, like, through difficult situations. He really had that, and I think we kind of match when it comes to aesthetics.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like kind of we all wanted to have, like, this natural feeling and warm. So, yeah, I think, like, our styles matched, and it was so easy to work with Chris.
That's a good point, though, because when you are directing something, I mentioned this with Joseph in my last, whatever this is, with him. The director doesn't necessarily have to know how to do everything. Like, you don't have to know exactly how to use a camera. You don't have to know how to do multi-cam setups. You don't have to know, oh, I definitely want a close-up here, but I also want a wide there. You can bring on these people, like a director of photography in my case, to take on that for you and work with the director to get the mood and what they are kind of going for.
Yeah, and for this, I think that was also very helpful, like to have you and also Claudio and Bikram, because you guys were kind of like a department on your own.
That is true. We should mention that our producer was also my camera assistant.
Yes.
That's what happens a lot on these little documentary shoots. You take on so many different roles.
Yeah.
As they say, you wear a lot of different hats. Like, you were also, as we'll get into, a lead editor on this.
I mean, you were as well.
We'll get on to that.
And a colorist. Yeah, I mean, and I also kind of like backed Claudia up to some when it comes to producing some, because I just had more of the communication with the people who were going to be in the documentary, and that's what I wanted to say, that like on set, having you guys taking care of this, like all the technical part was very important, because as I said, these are people that had been through some serious stuff, and I didn't know, like on the day, maybe they wouldn't feel comfortable sharing too much. Maybe, I didn't want them to relive, the difficult times. So I felt like I had to be with them the whole time, making sure that they're feeling okay, they're all right with everything, go through maybe the questions again. So yeah, I think it was very important that someone else was taking care of the technical part when we just overlooked it together, and then I would just focus on like the interview and them, and that they were comfortable on set. That
is the thing, like getting it to a point where it feels more like a one-on-one conversation with the interviewer and the contributor. Because that's another thing, like talking about cameras, like having them further away from people. I was very conscious about making sure the camera wasn't up close to everyone the whole time. So if you can have a room with the space to move the cameras a bit further back, just to make it feel more one-to-one. It's also worth mentioning that sometimes you end up in these people's houses, like their homes, and you're setting up cameras, moving around furniture, which we did do with permission I should mention, we did get permission to.
Important.
Yeah, but even like this setup here, like we've moved the sofa just so it's a bit more flattering for the cameras. That's what you end up doing in these people's homes, like asking if you can move a table or something, or plug in, even just to plug in a light. Like, it's a lot about making sure they're aware ahead of time what they're okay with and stuff.
I have to say though that they were very lovely to work with and they adjusted very easily to everything, because to be fair, only one family was in their own home. Nicola was at her salon. I think everyone else was in a different place, because we had kind of a like change of location last minute, and we had to find we had our good friend Annie who let us borrow her room, which was very lovely. It worked perfectly. It was also the very first interview that we did.
The thing with the Ashley location is it fits the colour scheme we were going with, which was very pink and maybe a bit of blue, like that ended up with Nicola in the background. There's a lot of blue with the pink.
And I think when it comes to documentary, because it's not like a set you can build, or like it's not always a studio. As you said, you actually go to their houses, to their business, so you don't know if it's all gonna match together. And what you did really well was every time you would find those elements on set, like in the place that we were at the moment, then kind of like change everything around to make it all blend together.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite examples of that, I had so much fun, is when we did go to Nicola's salon.
Yeah.
Even though she has a great salon, we weren't actually filming her interview in the actual salon bit. We had to film upstairs somewhere. Her interview segment was against in a nice way, the blandest wall imaginable, with nothing going on. And we just had these cool chairs that I really liked. I wanted that in the shot, but I wanted something going on, so that's when I brought in those tube lights, set up that pink theme that we'd already set up, we'd established with like Ashley and stuff. And then I think we went on to, well, she's got wigs. Yeah. Let's get the wigs. So we got them from a different room. Obviously, we asked if we could do this. And yeah, that whole interview setup's pretty much a construction. That's not actually how the salon actually is, but...
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Piece of art from Chris.
One thing that I always get worried about when we're starting a project, whether it be a music video, a film, or a documentary in this case, is how do you capture people's interest in that first minute or something, because people have such a stupid short attention span. So I was always curious what you would do with hair, because at the end of the day, it is a bit of a boring topic without having the context.
Did I say that he had empathy about this project?
I do, but I mean, for other people, for example, when we're showing our family members or just our friends, how do you get them to be here, watch this 50-minute documentary about hair loss?
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, we had talked about an idea that I had, which never happened, because it required an actress or someone who actually had hair loss. But yeah, because this project also had some time restriction, a time window that we had to make it in. This wasn't possible, but Chris had a really nice idea. We were just hanging, I think, somewhere, and then you saw on the screen, right? You saw something on the screen that was different color, silhouettes and different colors.
Maybe, yeah.
Was it silhouettes or just actual people?
It might have just been colors.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, we thought that we could maybe have this as a hook, having silhouettes with different hairstyles against multiple color backgrounds. Again, up until the edit, I also didn't know how I was gonna go exactly when it came to the pacing and sound. My approach was that we would have them do all these different movements with their hair, because in my mind, it would be such, a lot of information about hair. You have all these different hairstyles that would be moving, and then in the end, you cut to a person with no hair, and kind of leads you into what the documentary is about.
I think originally I pitched that to you as a teaser trailer. I don't think it was originally meant. I just thought that'd be a cool teaser trailer, just in my head, it was originally just flashing colors with just a silhouette, but they were standing still in my version. Like just.
So I just ruined it for you. I'm sorry, I changed it.
But no, what you did is you took that on and made it into something super fancy and super impactful. And then randomly we're like, oh, it's the beginning of hair. Like, oh, okay. It's just that.
I have to say, because that was our very first day of filming. And, you know, it wasn't about like the actual story, because it was just this silhouette. There was no like dialogue or anything, and everyone who came in, again, very thankful for them as well. They were our friends, and I was very nervous, and I said that this was kind of like my worst day when it came to filming this. And I'm saying this from the position of a person who hasn't done this before, like especially like, as I said, directing, because even like one documentary that I did before, it was much more just play by ear, just show up and capture whatever is there. We didn't even plan interviews then. So now I was very, very nervous about it. And yeah, exactly. And it wasn't even that I was going to interview someone. It was just, I was just going to show them like the movements and stuff. And I was just so scared. Again, very thankful for my friend Chris, who every time I would be like, what do you think? Is this okay? Is this okay? And he was just, yeah.
It's fine.
But yeah, it was, I think, until the edit that I actually felt confident about it, because I had something that wasn't included in the documentary eventually again, but there was this concept of like a photo shoot like that would be included near the end with everyone that was going to be in it. So to kind of prepare the audience for that, I thought maybe we can have the silhouettes changing to camera shutters sounds. And that's how it worked. And then we also had like this kind of like heartbeat sound in the background to give it more of like an emotional aspect. And yeah, that's why it ended up. And it's one of my favorite parts. And it's a shame because I forget about it a lot because of, you know, because of the main film. But it was, I think, like very creative, and I love the way it turned out. Although it was kind of challenging when it came to color grading.
Yeah, but I think it's a great intro, and then we do go into Nicola and the beginning of her journey with the hair documentary, which I think is a good way to do it, because you've got their attention with the flashy intro, and now you get into a serious story that hooks the people into it, and I think that was a really, really nice way of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, having the actual story down, that was a big challenge. That was, I think, the most difficult part of the whole thing for me.
I think that's something that most people don't think about, like how does a director or writer-director come to a documentary that's about real people's stories, and you're not quite sure exactly how you're going to tell a story of a documentary without all the people, but also like how do you structure something like that? Like that's what I was fascinated by with you. Like you did already have, I think it was usually after we'd done the interviews, you did the questions for each person, which were similar. And then you kind of had a structure from that. But it wasn't until we got to the edit where we had like interviews that were like an hour long each. Like that's the thing. We had those people talking for a long time. So you were cutting down those interviews individually and then crafting a story based on what you'd found there.
Yeah.
Like, talk about rewriting a narrative as you go in production.
Yeah, that was very difficult in a lot of ways. Not just, okay, yeah, how do I structure this? How do I make a story that has like a beginning, a middle, and an end? How do I give them like a resolution? Because there's this thing like, yeah, documentaries still need to kind of take you on a journey like a film does. Like if you follow like the hero's journey, although it is kind of different, like this format, the one that we follow with hair. But I still wanted to have like a climax, something for the audience to wait for in the end. And the other way that was very difficult as well was, of course, like the kind of more emotional part of it, how, of course, you can't include, as you said, everything, like 1 hour interviews. It's just impossible, especially if you want to give everyone's aspect on it. And I really didn't want to exclude people from that, but at some point it had to happen and it was very difficult. But yeah, when it comes to the structure, I mean, before when we did like our pre-production, there was kind of a rough script, but it's not a script usually, actually. You just, because you don't know what these people are going to say to you. You know what you are going to ask them. You know what you kind of want to get out of it. But again, you never know what it's actually going to come out in the end. And so that's actually the fascinating part of it. Like, you might find like something you didn't even expect, like a story that you didn't know they had this experience, for example, and it gives your documentary the meaning in the end. I mean, the only thing I was sure of was the ending. I knew from the beginning how it was gonna end, like the whole Is Her Everything montage with her answers. And I have to give credit to my inspiration for that, because I always say, because I love this show and I love this scene. I don't know if you watched Fleabag, the famous TV show. So the infamous haircut scene, which is one of the best things I've ever seen on TV. And yeah, it was actually an inspiration for this, like the actual question, because there's this scene, and should I explain the scene?
I mean, I can just...
Yeah, you can just put it in.
Hey!
No.
Anthony.
No! That is exactly what she asked for.
No, it's not. We want compensation.
Claire?
I've got 2 important meetings and I look like a pencil.
No! Don't blame me for your bad choices. Hair isn't everything.
Wow.
What?
Hair is everything. We wish it wasn't, so we can actually think about something else occasionally, but it is.
And so, like, when Fleabag goes, hair is everything, yeah, it kind of hit me, and I was like, but is it? You know, like, that's what we're trying to explore here. So I had this idea in the end, had to, like, ask this question to everyone and see their answers. And actually what I enjoyed, because I was curious, like, are they gonna have the same answer? Are they gonna have different answers? I love that they have different answers, because it really shows how people experience things differently. And also, in the end, I think it kind of gives the audience the chance to think about it. Like, I actually had very recently, like, I showed the documentary to some family members, and like when it ended, they just started talking about that. And I felt so good about it, because like, yes, this is what I was wondering. This is what these people have been wondering probably. So I think that's very important, to giving people food for thought in the end. About the structure, I'll go there. About the actual script and how it came together in the end. Yes, so we did the interviews. I had these very long transcripts.
Yeah.
I have to say I hate doing transcripts, because I've done a lot of interviews in the past when I was working as a journalist. And even though I love conversations, I love having conversations, when I go back and I have to write the whole thing again, it is kind of energy draining, I have to say. So yeah, when I did the transcripts, I had the questions and specific themes that they address, which was like, yes, the experience of hair loss, where did you find support? I said the emotional part of it, the physical part of it, how everyone within the family experienced this. So there was all these common denominators, but still, I really enjoy when you watch a film and they have chapters, or like they kind of like split the film in parts. Yeah. I know it kind of sometimes takes away from you immersing yourself in the film, but I don't know, maybe it's like a OCD thing, I don't know. I really like it when the film is split into parts.
So Hair's inspired by Quentin Tarantino.
Yes.
It's very much got his flavour.
Just with less feet. Yeah. And because exactly we had all these stories, I was like, how do I give this like a proper, like a clear structure? And then watching Nicola's interview, I mean, that interview was just gold. Because even if it was just her interview in this film, it would be enough. She was perfect at it. Not that everyone else wasn't. I'm just saying that she had a very nice way of expressing herself with confidence. And she was very sure about what she was saying every time. So it made it so easy for the edit as well. So yeah, one of Nicola's answers was, when I asked her about like the work of the Wonderfully Weak Company, she kind of took us through basically the stages of her work. And that was like, she said, oh yeah, first we have what happens before hair loss, then we have what happens during the hair loss, and then after. And I was like, this is it. This is perfect. Just made it so easy for me. Thank you. Because it really gave like these 3 parts. We started with them introducing their stories, and then we go to the during part, like during the active hair loss, which is the very heavy and emotional part of it. And then we have the after, as Nicola said, it's like what happens after hair loss. So it kind of gives, like, as I said, like a nice closure to the whole thing about, like, because especially when we had the kids, it was very nice to see like their hopes for the future.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good example of like trying to find your story based on what you get out of the interviews. I think that is something that, because a lot of time when you do watch a documentary or something, it does come up with written and directed by, or like script by, and you're like, what? They wrote a story. Like, you don't quite understand how that works, but obviously going through interviews, that's how you because a documentary is a lot about discovering the story. Like you said, you had the ending in mind. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like finding the journey. You have to find that bit, and that's how you...
Yeah, and I think you have to let your characters like guide you.
Yeah. But the thing is, you are still directing it like through your interview questions, and especially in the edit, like guiding. Like when somebody mentions Nicola, for example, then we know, oh, well, the next scene can be Nicola talking about this and expanding on it if she happened to have that. But talking about structure, what I think is also fascinating is you would think it's a curveball being thrown at you with the Brighton stuff. Like, we've got this whole Adaran's wig walk event that's just thrown in there that you would think, well, this doesn't fit into your interview structure, but...
Yeah, there was another challenge that we had to face. I mean, because before that, we were supposed to have another like section in the film, which was the wig making process, which didn't happen in the end because they cancelled on us.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. And so when that was scrapped, I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Because we didn't have any action.
Yeah, it was just talking.
Yeah, you have B-roll stuff, obviously, but we don't see anything. We don't see some action. Like the audience, as I said before, they don't wait for something to happen. And so, and again, and like sometimes with this project, I think like just the universe was like, yes, you will do this. Because a big part of the documentary is also a reference to the Little Princess Trust, which is a very big organization here in the UK, which provides wigs for people, young people mainly, with hair loss. So Nicola collaborates with them. We just had this mentioned, like when we were preparing the documentary, and there was a post on Instagram about an event that was going to happen, which was the Adaran's like wig fashion show, and they were asking for, they were looking for a volunteer to donate hair, and if I had long enough hair, I would do it myself just to have it in this documentary. I would sacrifice it. But yeah, so when I saw this, and it was just like during our production period, so it was like, this is perfect. Like, this would be so great to have this, because it shows also another part, which is the donation part. And I know because it's now very popular everywhere. I've seen it in Greece happening a lot as well. And yeah, how cool it would be to just film the haircut. But the problem, it was very far away from us. As I said, Nicola was 20 minutes away. This was like hours away. Because it was taking place in Brighton. And we didn't have the budget, we didn't have a car.
Yeah.
So this was a big challenge to organize, see if, like, we didn't know from the beginning that we were gonna do it. I just kept saying to Claudia, like, should we try, could we? And again, her just doing an amazing job. She got in touch with the people from the event, and they were willing to have us there.
Well, I mean, talking about a challenge, you had me as DOP, and I was like, we're having at least 2 cameras. I'm not just having 1 camera in this event. But we were working, at the time, we were working with big, bulky cinema cameras, the Ursa Minis, 4.6Ks. We couldn't really take them, especially since we were by foot. So we had to get, like, the bus or something. You can't really expect me and Iffy to be going all the way to Brighton with big cinema rigs, with big tripods that they require, or shoulder rigs. So obviously I, as a DOP, had to think, well, what can we do? Luckily, we did also have access to smaller cameras, the Blackmagic Pocket 6Ks. Thank God, because that helped so much. So what we did was we took 2 of them down. Still quite a lot of stuff.
Yeah, because you think, okay, it's 2 cameras, but then you have to think tripods, batteries, everything, and it's lenses. So heavy.
Yeah.
And there was also like the restriction because of budget restrictions, only like very minimal people could go. So we just went, like the Directorial Debut, we just went ourselves, like Claudia didn't join us. So it was a big, like a very, it was a headache to organize kind of. But to be honest, like for me, it was the first time that I felt, okay, I'm actually kind of like, not professional, but you know, like, yes, I'm doing this. Like, I think this is the actual...
It did feel like we were making a documentary.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we did the whole traveling, going to London, staying over one night. Again, shout out to Adonis for offering his place. Then traveled to Brighton the next day. Again, everything with bus and just our feet.
Yeah, we were carrying the big shoulder-strapped bags.
We still wanted to see a little bit of Brighton, so we're like, oh, let's go to the beach with everything.
We went to the beach.
And and also the difficult part was that we didn't know what was going on at the event.
Oh yeah, that is the thing. It was very unpredictable. We didn't have a clue. We didn't have a structure of what they were going to be doing throughout the event.
Yeah.
We didn't know where we could be to film this, which was a headache for me in advance, because I was like, what do we bring? Do we need longer lenses? Do we need wider lenses? We didn't know if we were going to be close to whatever's going to be going on, or if we had to be far back. We were also like worried about, are we okay to film
a lot of,
people,
the audience.
Yeah, there was a lot of...
We did have, like, Claudia was in touch, and that's very important, like, I don't know, for people who want to do documentary, like, again, to talk with people beforehand. She had asked about this. They said, yeah, maybe use a blur. But we knew we could actually, the whole haircut and the event, and the models, we could actually film them. But yeah, we didn't have, like, a clear schedule, like, that time, like, it starts at this time, this happens then, or like, they did kind of roughly say where they would stand, but I think that also changed
a
bit later.
It did. But like, obviously we wanted to get interviews with the main people at the event as well. So we had to try to organize getting their interviews before or after the event or during the event, because this was a proper event where there was a lot of public there. And once they started doing the wig walk stuff, they were just doing it for, I don't know, was it an hour or two?
Yeah,
it was quite a while. And me and Iffy just had to improv what we were going to be capturing or not capturing the whole time. And we managed to get some people's interviews before.
Yeah, again, well done to Claudia, because she kind of like booked the interviews before. But I had to chase them on the day, and that was very difficult because we interviewed the founder and CEO of the Little Princess Trust, who were very, very lovely. It's just that they were very busy on the day because everyone obviously wanted to talk with them, and it was also very busy in general. So even like we got them on the side, it was still very late. There was a lot of noise. We didn't know exactly how to set it up.
That's the thing. We didn't know what the location was either, but it was like this old church or something with one room, and it was the big church hall. And we were like, where can we get the interviews? And it, like you said, it was so noisy. And I didn't want to have like each interview setup be the same setup, because I always hate that when you watch something and people are it's just people's faces changing against the same background.
Yeah.
Like I wanted it to be different for every person, which is very difficult when you're in the smallest place with 100 people all around.
And when you have other people kind of filming as well, there were two other photographers.
Yeah.
People had their other like lights there.
Yeah, the photographers were lovely though. We really got on with them. But we also, our equipment, like the bags that we weren't at that time using, they had to be just put somewhere in the same room, just out of the way. But like, God, what's going on? Yeah,
because it's important to mention that we didn't have access to like backstage stuff at all. And so, yeah, we were just kind of like, we also felt that we're in the middle, like, you know, like bothering everyone. So it is kind of a tricky situation. You're like, I'm here to do my job, but I feel like I'm meddling to everyone else's job as well.
And we were just setting up the cameras on the floor. Like we were just sat on the floor with the big crowd. And then you were like, oh, we really need to get these interviews with these people that we'd agreed to, but they were busy doing their thing. So I remember while I was just setting up my camera, you were just off trying. I remember just seeing in the distance, you were just lingering around these people like, can I interview you? Please.
I think everyone was also like probably fancy dressed and we were just sweaty from all the traveling.
They were probably just thinking, who are these kids? What are these kids up to?
But again, they were very lovely.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, I was very, very grateful because I I also didn't know what to expect from this event. Like, I knew it was going to be the haircut and the wig show, but there were some moments that they were really, really powerful, and we just didn't plan them. Like, they just happened. And I think, again, that's like the beauty of documentary, that if you're good enough, like Chris, you can actually capture them, because if I was on camera, I would have to capture
Well,
those.
you were on camera.
I know, but let's not talk about this. I think like 2 seconds of my shots were in the documentary.
But you were a B-cam operator as well as directing.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, there wasn't any other way I wouldn't be otherwise. But I was a sound person as well.
Oh yeah, I know. I looked the photos. Like, and I'm just on really awkwardly.
Yeah, because we didn't have a boom mic, so it was just another mic. Because we also used a different.
Oh yeah, it was a mic we were completely unfamiliar with that external. The external. I can't remember. Words have left my brain.
Yeah, and because I've never been on sound before, so I was very nervous about like the lav mics as well. Did everything work perfectly? But and I think we also almost lost the mic because the guy just left wearing.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh my god.
It was very hectic that day.
But yeah, I was gonna say, like, these moments, like when the models took off their wigs, I was like, this is just perfect.
It was, yeah.
Or the actual haircut, like Andrew, the hairdresser that was cutting Agatha's hair, the volunteers. He was so energetic, and he was giving like this great rhythm in the whole event. And I remember thinking at the time, I was like, yes, this is how it will get some more flavor, let's say. Because we do have a lot of the heavy emotional part, but I think it's important to have the empowering part.
Yeah.
Because we didn't want it to be, like a film only about, how tragic is it that you lost your hair, which is obviously. But the important thing is to see how these people, how these people support each other, how these people stood on their feet again and went through this experience, and they came out stronger. So he really made this, I think, very fun.
Yeah.
So the main question was how this was gonna fit into the actual script. So again, as we had like these 3 stages, I was like, great, now we have 3 stages of that. We have them kind of talking about the event and what is it about. Then you have the actual part, like the haircut. And then we had the final part, which is when we see the haircut of the volunteer, and again, like a closure to the wig show where they take off the wigs as well. So I like that we kind of like sprinkled this event within the documentary, and as you say, like you change the pace once in a while and make them wait to see, what else is gonna happen there.
Hair is nice to have, beautiful, fun, an extension of you and your personality, and it's probably not everything. When you lose it, it's everything.
Hopefully it will lead to something bigger, and not just for us, but also like for the topic in general and for the people who were in it. So I hope when and if you guys watch it, that you like it.
Ify, you are an inspiring story. You set out not being a director, not being confident enough to make something, but having the passion to put together this great story about hair loss, and you gathered your people, and we all made something and had the best time, and produced something that is exceptionally good for a project that isn't technically a high-budget, like, professional piece.
Yeah. And none of this would have happened if it wasn't for you, Chris.
That's right, it's all on me. You're welcome.
You know what they say, behind every successful man is a more successful woman?
Right.
What's that?
I've never heard
Behind every successful man, there's a woman, so now it's the other way around.
I am the woman.